Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Speech Check. I am Sam.
And I'm Matt.
And this is episode 7.
And today we're going to talk about Disco Elysium, becoming addicted to loot boxes, and the next decade in gaming and what it might hold. But before we talk about any of that, Sam, what have you been playing?
What have I been playing? I have been playing Luigi's Mansion 3.
Okay.
Which we spoke about, I believe we spoke about on the last episode.
Yeah, episode before last, I think we spoke about Luigi's Mansion.
So we have mentioned it before. Matt's very thoroughly gone over it. And I can confirm that it's a fantastic game. I've actually put down amazing 9 out of 10.
Really?
I'd full on give it that number. If you're listening to this and you liked the original Luigi's Mansion, the GameCube one, I didn't play Dark Moon, so I can't verify, but I imagine it's in the same kind of vein, tone.
Mm-hmm.
You'll definitely like this game. I'd even go as far to say, if you own a Switch, this is like a must-own.
Wow.
This, Ultimate, Odyssey, Breath of the Wild. Those are the 4 games you should own. That should be in every collection.
Actually, like key lineup. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can see that.
Or if like, it would definitely be in the top 3. If you're buying it for your son, daughter, whoever, for birthday, Christmas, whatever, get one of those games with it, and they will not be disappointed. But yeah, it's really good. It's oddly, as I was playing it, so I'm about probably halfway through now. It's oddly similar to a Lego game. I don't know how many Lego games you played.
I played Lego Indiana Jones.
Okay, that's they're primarily all the same, but they have like you go in a room, you basically destroy everything, and then everything you're left with is stuff that will solve a puzzle in that room to get to the next room, or how you traverse from the entrance of that room to the exit into the next room.
All right.
It's a bit different because Lego is almost primarily co-op based, so I call it like leapfrog puzzling. So like this character can do this thing, but you need to make it so the other character who can't do that thing can get across a gap or something like that. And it kind of does that with the Luigi stuff. Not as heavily, but it does feature. But basically, you go into a room, or you go into a new floor. Every floor is themed. So like, there's one that's like a medieval thing, but it's like a medieval. You know, those weird US like dinner and a show things where you watch like a fake jousting thing.
I know exactly what you mean.
I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we don't have them here.
Yeah,
UK,
it's not really a thing. But yeah, there's one version of that. Some of the things you come up against, I'm a bit like, I don't know if it's me being stupid or I've got too used to games kind of handing me the answer on a plate, but you basically cycle through your abilities. You can either suck stuff up with the vacuum, blow it away with the vacuum. You have the plunger, like you do in Ultimate as Luigi's Grab.
Okay.
Which you can like attach to stuff, and then you can do the slam, or you pull like a drawer open or a door open or whatever.
Okay.
You have Luigi, which can obviously, he can go through like grates, like you said before, and like fences and stuff. Or he can like slide through vents to get to other areas, things like that. It's basically, you go in a room, you hoover everything up. Yeah. You get your money as you do in the game, which I believe, what I would imagine will contribute to the grade of ending you get at the end. Okay. Maybe your S tier, whatever mansion or hotel you get is based on the money. Okay. You go and you suck everything up, get all your money, get all your collectibles, and then you basically, everything you're left with, like in a Lego game, is like, okay, this is the stuff I have to do a specific thing to, and you just kind of cycle your abilities until you hit the right thing. Okay. But it's just really good. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it to all.
Did you? How did you feel about the combat? Because I remember that was one thing. When I was researching it, it was quite shallow apparently, or not.
Yeah,
so great.
I think again, not wanting to keep pinging it back to a Lego game, but again, like in a Lego game, they just kind of throw a load of dudes at you, and you can just mash X. It's not that level. It's not like kid level, but it's definitely not difficult. And you can circumvent it by doing the slam and stuff. Yeah, but it's not. I don't know. I felt like the combat in the initial one, the OG Luigi's Mansion that I played, was more of a nuisance. Whereas this, I think, is a bit more woven in a bit, and it's not too obtrusive. It doesn't happen enough as well, where you think, "Oh, I come bored of that." It's like they do it for just around that time.
Okay, it seems like from what you're saying, the focus is on the puzzle solving more than anything. Anyway.
Yeah, that's the primary balance of it, and then you might go to leave a room, and then they do the thing where the room, like, you get a ghost block over the door or something like that, and like you have to clear the room before you can leave. So that kind of thing. But yeah, it's really, really good. I'd recommend it to anyone who likes games.
If I ever see it on sale, I'll pick that up.
Go for it. I was able to get it because I got it for my birthday. It was my birthday since we've had it, so
Happy birthday.
thank you. And last night I've written down Red Dead 2. I played more Red Dead 2, but I'm going to gloss over that. And instead, last night, I kind of just was looking for a game to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'll search through my 360 because I replugged my 360 back in. Looked through the games I had on my library, and I had Destroy All Humans, Path of the Furon, which I believe is the third one.
Okay. Not the... Did they do a remake recently with the
I
Rammstein?
think they've announced they either have or are.
Rammstein trailer? Yeah, I thought that was what you were playing. I was like,
No, I played like the I think it was originally an Xbox game.
Okay.
And then they put it on 360. I might be wrong on that, but
that name doesn't ring a bell to me. But
it's weird. It's a bit trippy. It's like it's a very of the time open world game. They went for a theme, so it's set in like the late 70s.
Yeah.
And it's kind of got the Roswell alien type vibe about it. I've only put probably 2 or 3 hours into it, but it's fun. It's fun to just have your abilities. They have enough like skill trees in it, like weapons, and you have a flying saucer.
Yeah.
There's enough collectibles to get around without being like an insane amount.
Okay.
There's like 30 in each area, and the areas aren't like insanely huge. Walking around on foot's a little bit tiresome sometimes, getting from one end of the city to the other, or one end of the map to the other. You can jetpack, but it's not like you have to like land, let it cool down, and then you do it again. But yeah,
what is the gameplay of it?
They're just like there's fairly generic story missions. There is an overarching story. I haven't paid too much attention to it. I must admit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of just you have main abilities of like you can body snatch people, as like so you pose as a human to get into an area you're not allowed in because you're an alien. Destroying stuff, destroying people, or take this item to this place. That's the primary focuses of the tasks. And then later on in the I've basically only done the first area, which I guess teaches you all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've done a bit of the second area, which kind of, whereas the first area would be like destroy a thing, take this thing to there, do this. Whereas this mission, they just kind of stump this together. So they're like, take this to this, and then destroy this. Okay. So it's not the game design isn't insanely deep, but it's good. It's fun. I think I paid like £1 for it on sale. So
well, it's probably worth that, I imagine.
Yeah, if you see it on sale for I would say less than £5, because it's quite a rare game to come up.
Yeah.
Less than £5, I'd go for it because it's just fun.
Okay.
Some of the stuff's funny as well. You can mind read people, and I've probably mind read. I went on a spree of doing it. Probably mind read about 200 people, and I didn't get one duplicated line of dialogue.
Seriously?
I thought that was quite impressive.
It's attention to detail.
Mm.
Nice.
Yeah, enough of my rambling. Matt, what have you been playing?
Is it my turn to ramble?
It is your turn to ramble. Ramble on.
So I've been on a 2D hype the last week or so. I've been playing Hades and Blasphemous.
Now, I do not know what any of those things are, so enlighten me.
Okay. Hades is from the same developers as Bastion and Transistor.
Okay, I know those.
Whose name escapes me at this point, but that's not important. It's a roguelite action RPG, I guess.
Has those elements in it, but it's not strictly that kind of game.
It's very Enter the Gungeon.
Okay, I know you're a big fan of that. I've not personally played many of those, but I'm not a big roguelite guy. But
I'm a slave. I'm a slave to a roguelite. I get so much mileage out of them. I love Slay the Spire for that reason as well. I like roguelite gameplay. When we're talking roguelite and roguelike, I thought I'd clarify the difference just while we're chatting about it, because I was confused for a while about it. A roguelite has persistent elements. So Hades is a roguelite because you get weapons that you carry on to your next run. You get little trinkets that level up as you do more stuff. There's a bunch of small things that progress as you progress through the game. A roguelike starts from 0 every single time. Okay. So if you imagine The Binding of Isaac, that's closer to a roguelike because the only thing you unlock is the potential to receive unlocks in the dungeon. Your character is exactly the same at the start of every single run. But that aside, the game is freaking awesome. It's in early access right now. You play the son of Hades, trying to escape from Hades, the place. So Hades the god, Hades the place. And you're being aided by the gods of Mount Olympus in that. So you go into a room, you defeat a bunch of monsters that are in Hades, and there's, depending on the room type that you have, you'll then get a boon that's dropped from that god. And they have amazing character artwork, amazing dialogue, and awesome voice acting.
I'm a sucker for since God of War, like that made gods awesome to me. Not that gods weren't awesome before, but when you put it in a game, when you got like Zeus and Ares and all things like that.
Yeah,
I'm a sucker for that. So
and they each do, like, their boons are related to their powers as a god. So anything from Zeus will charge your attacks with lightning or give you like a bouncing attack. Dionysus is quite a good one because he's like the god of wine, and he gives people hangovers. So you get dots, like damage over time effects and everything that you hit, depending on the ability that you have.
Nice.
But it's just so good. Like the production value on it is so high. Like everything is just so tight, and it's early access, and they're about a third of the way through. And I've played it for 6 hours. Another friend of mine has played it for 10 to 20, and still enjoying it, still loving it. Really good, really, really good. Blasphemous. Nice. I'm just gonna slam straight into Blasphemous.
Go for it.
This is, I think last time we were chatting, I said I was annoyed at how people use Soulsborne and Metroidvania and all these kind of terms. This game actually is a Metroidvania. So you have you've got your 2D map a la Super Metroid.
Yeah.
That shows you doors in the environment, where you have been, where you haven't been, where your save points are. Like, it's just like Metroid, set up that way. The setting, I'd say, is kind of Dark Souls inspired. Like, it's very like pseudo-religious. Everything's quite grim, dark, and serious. And you have like melee-based combat where you parry and hit stuff, and it's quite easy to die when you rest. I'm saying rest. You don't rest. You pray at these shrines, and when you do that, it respawns all the enemies in the area. You have a flask that you break on you to restore your health. So it's very Dark Soulsy.
Very like heavily borrowing elements, either from that or very close to what Dark Souls has.
Yeah. It's borrowing those kind of themes, but it's wrapped up in a 2D Metroidvania experience, and I'm enjoying it. It's more frustrating than Hades, because when you're in a rogue, like, dying is like, right, okay, next run, and you just go and go and go and go. Whereas getting reset can be a bit like, oh god.
You feel the pain a bit more. The pain of your failure.
It has a really nice animation style. Not knowing too much about 2D animation, I think it's like rotoscoped. So you get your character on, it's super minimalist, like a black background, and your character's there. And all this crazy stuff is happening because we're in Dark Souls style. Everything's terrible, and you got this. I don't know if I can actually do it justice describing it. I'll try and get those two words.
Need to see it.
You think you'd need to see it? So I would YouTube just the opening and just see the art style. Just have a look at it. And in fact, there's a demo on Switch right now. You can get a free demo to play it. So I would say go and download the demo. And if you're into kind of challenging 2D side-scrolling experiences, right up your street. And Hades is amazing. Definitely get Hades. It's 15 quid when I got it. 100% worth it. I'm going to get hours out of that.
Cool.
And
that's it. Is what we've been playing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What do we have here?
So now we've covered that. We now move on to the releases. Matt, what has been release head?
Well, I've gone back to November, October for the releases this time, because it transpires January isn't a great release window.
It's not a good month to be born in. I do, now that I am of the age that I am, I feel sorry for my parents having to buy me stuff for my birthday when I was like a kid.
December, January holidays.
No one's got any money.
It's rough.
Like having just had Christmas as well. So you want to be have a June, July baby. Have a summer baby.
I think I've hit a good point, because I'm April, so I'm like.
Yeah. You just don't want to be January and February, really.
Yeah.
You want the weather to turn a bit, but again, a digression.
Yes, me. What am I saying? I'm saying Need for Speed Heat, developed by Ghost Game, coming at us November 8th, 2019, is the next installment of the long-running Need for Speed series.
It's been going on a while.
Having a bit of a drought lately as well. They've not released a good game in 3 years, I'd say, maybe.
I'm not necessarily a car guy. Need for Speed's always been like I think the cooler looking of the racer games. Like it probably wants to be Burnout more than it is. But to be fair, from what I've seen of like the art surrounding it, Heat looks. I quite like the Miami neon. I'm a bit of a sucker for that stuff as well.
They've lent heavily.
Yeah, it looks like it's that way inclined.
Yeah, they've lent heavily on the neon like retro wave kind of aesthetic.
Yeah,
and they've gone into their arcadey roots, I suppose. They've taken the best parts of the series, slammed them together into one experience, and they've abandoned. It's interesting you mentioned Burnout, because I think Burnout really nails that fast-paced arcade feel, and I think there was a time where maybe Need for Speed was a bit threatened by that, so they went for a slightly more realistic Fast and the Furious.
They kind of move more similar. It was somewhere between, I think, Burnout and like Forza, where Forza was like pure heavy sim.
Yeah,
where
they wanted to have some kind of real-world story going on with police and criminals and stuff, and I remember that not landing at all for fans.
I played the original Most Wanted.
Yeah,
which was like it was like a street racing ring,
mm-hmm.
and I think they had like FMV sequences, and it was just kind of it was a bit cheesy and a bit laughable. It was kind of gave me Resident Evil vibes, where like you went up against a dude who was like, "You're not gonna take me down," like that kind of.
It gets a bit cringy, and they've abandoned all that. They've gone, like I said, back to the arcade style. You're in an open world, Burnout Paradise style racer. You go around, upgrade your car. I don't really like racing games, to be honest. This is just one game I hadn't covered. One of the few games I haven't covered yet. So, if you like Need for Speed, I'd say wait for it to go on sale, because I swear that's my advice for every game. I'm like, I'm cheap. Wait for it to go on sale.
Yeah, wait for it to be cheaper than it currently is.
Yeah, bad advice. Don't get it. I think it's a good game. Don't get it. I don't think it's worth it. For me, I'm not a racing fan. If you're really into tuning cars, it's interesting, right? Because they have this real arcade feel, but then have a real heavy emphasis on tuning. And I don't know whether those two elements marry well together in a game. So if there's somewhere you can get a demo of it, give it a play, see what's going on with it, maybe. But for me, I was pretty uninterested, as you can tell, even in the reviews. I couldn't really muster the
I think it's hard to diversify in a racing game. So if I'm going to play a racing game, I'm going to play one that has some kind of novelty to it, which is why I think Mario Kart applies to a lot of people, because you do the same thing intrinsically as you race around a course, and it's the first one to finish.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot more. There's a lot more element of randomness. People enjoy it more. It's not as serious.
It's lacking on a USP for me. Like when I was listening to reading people talk about it, it could have been anything. It could have been any racing game with any name. There's no identity to it. Yeah. Whereas something like Burnout, I played and actually liked Burnout Paradise because
Burnout Paradise was a good game.
And it was so over the top. It defines a name for itself by being crazy. Whereas I feel like this is falling into like a malaise of generic racing games. So I'd say give it a miss personally. And I'm going to move straight on to my next one because I can't be asked to talk about that anymore. Pokemon Sword and Shield coming at us from Game Freak the 15th of November 2019. This is an interesting one to talk about because there's little bits of controversy flying around about
There's
it.
some nuggets about it, yeah, which I thought people would kind of just be a bit happy about it, but they were feeling very sort of shortchanged.
Well, Game Freak said a whole bunch of stuff about the game, about how it was going to be a real current gen experience. Is going to be a massive step up from the handheld versions of the game. Good graphics, good animations, lots of Pokemon, and those three things were basically lies. They cut down the roster of Pokemon massively, like below what you'd get on a GBA, like a really small roster of Pokemon. The animations range from average to terrible. To be some of them are as bad as the whole model staying still and like almost like a kid playing with it, moving it like a figurine. So if Pikachu would do headbutt, you would just slide in place and then backwards quickly. And like that would be the whole animation for that attack.
You probably get better animations on Pokemon Go, right?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Well, you certainly get better in Ultimate for mentioning Pikachu.
Yeah.
I've got that on the brain today. But yeah, that's kind of disappointing, and the graphics are maybe not so great, and it's hard to produce a game with poor graphics on the Switch now after Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild did so much with the hardware, like more than you think you could do with it. Like it showed amazing vistas, you had really good draw distance, which you don't think you could get. And I know they did a bunch of smart stuff to hide the edges of the technical capabilities of the Switch, but it doesn't seem like Pokemon has done those things. So you get some dodgy models, dodgy textures, average animation. On the other hand, it's Pokemon on a console, and at its core, you are playing Pokemon. You're in a small town, you wake up, you pick one of your 3 starters, you challenge 8 gym leaders, and then you beat the comparative Elite Four, whatever they're going to be. It's that story again. So if you like Pokemon, you will like this. I want to get it. I really want to get it, but I'm finding it difficult to justify it to myself.
I'd definitely play it if someone had bought it for me.
I get it as a gift. It's a great gift to receive.
I wouldn't pay for it.
And the Nintendo games don't like drop in price either.
I think we've discussed this before. Yeah,
45 quid or nothing. So I don't want to pay 45 quid for it.
Have we discussed why that is? You know what that is, right?
Why is that?
They don't reduce the price of the games because they see it as a like admitting a degradation of quality.
What?
So they're like, no, our games will never be. That's why you don't really get, unless stuff's you're getting stuff through like CX or secondhand.
Yeah.
If you want to buy it from an official source,
no way.
The
I
price
did not know that.
I think that's how they used to justify the seal of approval, as much as it got hoard out.
That
was
meant a lot.
That was like a buffer to be like, oh no, we can't do this game because it's one of our seal of approval games.
Well, that's an aside, but a very interesting one. I didn't know that was the reason for that. So from a casual standpoint, if you enjoyed Pokemon as a kid and you like that kind of gameplay, you'll play it, you'll like it, you go through it, it'll be all right. I've heard it's easier than what I'm calling the core franchise, like the ones that we grew up with.
Yeah.
It's much easier than that. And segueing on from that, the competitive scene, which I know maybe not a lot of people are into for Pokemon.
I didn't even twig that would be a thing in my head, but I guess of course it would.
It's kind of rumbling, making some rumbles in the competitive scene. So you have IVs and EVs for Pokemon, which are individual values and effort values. A Pokemon is generated when its spawn is called on by the game. It's generated with IVs, and that's just how it is. And its effort values are what you train it against. So if, for example, if you beat Zigzagoons, they give more, I think it's special attack or something. So if you've got a psychic Pokemon, you want to train specifically against Zigzagoons, because, so you know what I mean? Like, you have to think about the Pokemon that you have, the values it has, and how you're training it. Now there are candies in the game that allow you to change those values or maneuver them in some way. There's more flexibility to that, which, in my opinion, I think diminishes the effort involved in raising a Pokemon to a competitive level. Now that's kind of a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's like more of an in-game sort of pay to win, I guess.
It is, yeah. It's
in a way, not as heavy.
It's an odd, it was an odd choice. I kind of get why they're doing it, trying to make it maybe more accessible.
I suppose their argument would be, well, you don't have to buy them.
Yeah,
but
and I'm going to say so few people get involved in that side of Pokemon. I don't know the figures for competitive Pokemon players, but I can't.
If it is a thing that hasn't been exposed to us.
Yeah, it's not popular as other gaming franchises. So there's that, and then there's also Dynamaxing. So I'd have to talk about for this, which is where you make Pokemon huge for 3 turns.
I've seen.
It does like special attacks. I think it's okay in the raid boss settings. So some Pokemon turn up like raid Pokemon, and you have to get 2 or 3 trainers together to fight them so that they become small and you can capture them. Or actually, you think you can capture them Dynamaxed. But again, in the competitive environment, it's completely useless, really, because you'd never Dynamax unless the other person Dynamaxes. I don't know. It just seems it's like it's being banned in tournaments, a lot of tournaments, just not allowing it. I don't know, it just seems like an odd choice. An odd way to try and mix up the Pokemon formula is to have this buff that happens for 3 turns. It's kind of like the Super Evolutions in X and Y. I think they had like you'd give them some kind of food and they'd become a special variant.
Oh, you could be like, I've seen like you can be like Mega Lucario and stuff.
Yeah, it was a slightly different form. With Dynamaxing, you're just massive, but in X and Y, I think you became a different type.
It's like an
evolution, like a
evolution. Semi-evolved form. Yeah.
I would say pick up Sword and Shield. It'll never go on sale, so do it if you like Pokemon. I really want to recommend it, but I just can't because I know it's going to be 50 quid.
If you've got Pokemon Let's Go,
Yeah.
Do you need this as well?
No, they're completely separate. I think they interact, but they're completely separate experiences.
Okay.
And on to my last game, which I mentioned in the intro, Disco Elysium. This one I'm actually quite interested to talk about. Coming at us from ZAUM, the developers and publishers. It might be ZAUM, but that's how it's written. From the 15th of October 2019. This is a fascinating RPG murder mystery that won a slew of awards last year. Best indie title, best RPG. It's got awards out the wazoo. You play a detective solving a murder. Sounds pretty simple. Its roots are kind of in LucasArts puzzle solving kind of stuff, like walking around the environment, speaking to people, learning things, getting objects, and trying to piece this mystery together in like a fractured fishing town. The interesting thing is how the RPG elements come into it. So there's you're kind of in charge of your character's mind, which sounds like a weird thing to say because you always are, I suppose.
Yeah.
You're controlling the character. But the entire game is based around conversation. You're always talking to people. There's no combat. All of the randomness and the die rolls happen within conversation. All the while, different parts of your psyche are like piping up in this conversation. So while you're having a conversation with some guy who witnessed the murder, and your empathy might come through and give you a bit more few more descriptors about this guy that will make you make an informed decision as to what you say next. Or maybe your aggressiveness is particularly high, or your assertiveness. So you have extra dialogue options that you can push onto someone. And that conversation is happening inside your mind as well as with this character simultaneously. And I think that's like it's an amazing way to handle. You almost go into combat, but verbally.
Yeah,
it's like verbal combat.
It serves that need, but just not in a sticks
Yeah.
and stones traditional sense.
It's that loop, but in like a different form.
Yeah.
When I was reading about it, it was kind of a fascinating way to pick apart that sort of system and put it into a framework that fits a murder mystery. And it seems awesome. Really awesome. I definitely want to get this. I would recommend it to anyone. Apparently, anyone as well is a fan of Dungeons and Dragons. It's a big D&D. Because of the characterization.
Yeah.
And the way randomness works in the game. Big draw for anyone who likes Dungeons and Dragons. So this is a 2 thumbs up pick up. It won awards for a reason, for sure.
Do you feel like if you are a D&D player, you'll get the same, or like it was made with that in mind, or it just happens to have been come with that? Do you think the devs are D&D fans themselves?
I think the devs just know what an RPG is.
Yeah.
In the traditional sense, because I know now everything's an action RPG, or it has RPG elements, and it doesn't. It has a skill tree. Like a skill tree isn't a role playing element.
Yeah, that doesn't make it. It's a component that you can put into it, but it's not.
Yeah, it takes arguably the most important part of role playing, which is playing a role.
Yeah,
and exposes that as a set of systemic and mechanical choices to the player, so you can truly play a role. You can choose how you go through the entire game, and yeah, it's fascinating. I think it's a good. It's like a gamer's game. You know, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But people who get into it will really like it.
Cool. I might check it out. That sounds cool.
So that's enough of me talking. I'm going to pass over to Sam, who's going to tell us about news in gaming.
Okay, again, I just want to put a disclaimer. It's been a lighter month for the gaming world. I think everyone kind of goes on holiday a bit.
Yeah.
Everyone enjoys the Chinese New Year in the developer publisher world.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. Christmas has just happened, but so the first nugget, as we always start with, the appetizer.
Okay. Your nugs.
Is Dishonored is being made into a tabletop game.
Ooh.
By Momentous, if I'm reading that right.
Okay, yeah,
they're a British tabletop publisher.
Okay.
I myself I'm not a huge tabletop guy, but I know this might pertain to a wider audience. This might pique your interest a little bit, Matt, as well. I know
It does. When you say tabletop game, do you mean role playing game, or do you mean like a board game?
I want to say role playing.
Okay, cool.
But
cool.
I think it's in a D&D vein.
Okay.
But they're working in collaboration with the guys at Arcane Studios. So
Okay.
the people that made Dishonored.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a good sign for me. I get very worried when a project is being made and the original people that came up with that project aren't being consulted.
Yeah.
Like if you made tried to make the Marvel movies but didn't look at any of the source material,
You stand a
get
chance,
like the
yeah.
OG superhero movies, which were just bad.
Yeah.
It is a 2D20 system, which I understand means a 20-sided dice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go. I'm Matt is my fact checker here. I don't know what I'm getting onto.
Well, I've never heard of a 2D20 system before.
So, yeah, there you go. It has a 300-page book with a 4-act campaign in it.
Wow,
So
okay.
I don't know if there is a strict DM or a DM role within the game.
From that description, it sounds like it's a D&D like game, you might say, a traditional tabletop role playing game.
I've not played that many. I'm not a huge tabletop gamer in general, but this I've definitely played this. If I saw this, if we went to Chance Encounters,
Mm-hmm.
I saw this. I'd play that. I really want to play the XCOM game actually.
Oh, yeah.
That's like intense.
Well, we've got
And-
Chance Encounters here. We should check it out.
We'll do a day.
Yeah,
of that.
we'll do it.
And the Resident Evil game. Apparently, the Resident Evil game is meant to be alright.
Really?
Yeah,
The board game?
I think so. I think it's. I want to say that Nemesis is in it,
Oh, okay.
and like you have to like avoid him on the board. I think.
I'll check that out.
I don't know,
Sounds interesting.
But yeah, what would you recommend, Matt, as a tabletop game? What are you putting in there?
What's
in
my
terms of
favorite?
one, you can put a favorite or one necessarily that is like maybe based on a video game or in a video game related vein.
Based on a video game.
If you played any.
I don't think I've played one based on a video game. I've played Warhammer Dark Fantasy, which is based on the tabletop game.
Yeah.
I've played a little bit of Vampire Bloodlines,
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
but the game came after the tabletop game for
Yeah.
that. I played Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I'm on 5th edition now, as most people are, but I know 3.5 was super popular, and Pathfinder. But I've not played I don't think I've played a tabletop game as in an RPG
Yeah, based on a video game.
based on a video game. No.
Okay. Well, there you go. Maybe pick this up. I don't have a release date on it yet.
Okay.
The story I looked into didn't have an official release date because I think it's quite early days. But it's when I hear things like OG Studio that was working on it, a 300-page detailed book, campaigns, they're obviously taking it seriously. They're not just trying to cash in on the name of people that like Dishonored.
For sure, yeah. It
So-
looks like it's a serious and committed attempt to make a decent game.
Nugget number 2, Dying Light 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I played a very, very small amount of Dying Light 1.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was kind of cool. I like the parkour mixed with the night-day elements. I did play Dead Island 1, which was also Techland, which felt to me like a tech demo for what they wanted, or like to test the mechanics for Dying Light.
Yeah, for sure. I liked Dead Island 1.
Yeah, it was alright.
And I like Dying Light as well.
Yeah, but I think of the two, I think Dying Light's a more fun game to play.
Yeah, it's more polished, yeah.
But yeah, Dying Light 2, it's been delayed. Whether that's good or bad, I suppose it's good from a sense that hopefully they can make it better.
Mm-hmm.
But bad, obviously, if you're waiting for the game. But hopefully it's a longer payoff for a longer wait. But it's been pushed back from its spring 2020 date. Didn't have an exact date. That's all they had was the season. I was going to say term then. They didn't really provide any details on it, but there was a note published on Twitter from the devs that was like it wasn't just a simple statement. They made I guess they made it in like Photoshop or something like that, like an in-game note, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
They just basically said the game isn't finished, we need more time. So at least they went I'm going to call that now the Metroid Prime 4 approach.
Yeah, and since Metro Prime 4, I can see there you've got a couple of other ones that have been pushed back. But
Yeah, there's a few other definitely AAA releases. So Cyberpunk, which is probably going to be the game of the year.
Oh, yeah.
It's
shaping up to me for sure.
The Final Fantasy VII remake, which I'm not a Final Fantasy fan, but I've heard that is, if you ask a Final Fantasy fan which is your best game, generally 7 is. the game. I'm sure there's other good ones, but that's generally pointed to as the kind of the objective best.
Yeah.
That's been delayed, and the Avengers, which I'm a bit on the fence about. I've seen some weird things. It looks.
That does not.
I think doing a superhero game is hard. Because how do you make yourself not insanely overpowered? Like with Batman, it works because he didn't have superpowers.
I mean, the Spider-Man game that came out recently was great.
Yeah.
So I think in the right hands, a superhero game can be good, but there's a lot of little pointers that would suggest to me it's going to come out and be incredibly underwhelming. Like not having any of the original actors in it. They can't get the license for any faces. That's a bit of an alarm bell. And just looking at the gameplay, that you go into separate sections of the game when you play different heroes. So if you're in a Hulk section, you do stuff in a Hulk map, and you've got Hulk interactions. And then when you're Iron Man, it's like a flying sim. You know what I mean? And
so it feels like
I don't know,
loads of tiny little games rather than one big game. And I guess if none of those things interact,
that's what I feel. That's what I worry. That's what I worry about it.
Yeah.
And a comparison, just off the top of my head, if it is like Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers for PS2,
that game,
that classic.
Joe, I didn't even like Lord of the Rings, right? And that game is fire. That game is really good.
It's a good game. It's a good game, and you can play any of the characters in any of the missions, and they each have their own play styles and strengths and weaknesses.
Just FYI, Legolas.
Aragorn?
I was a support. So my mate would play Aragorn and I'd play Legolas.
Okay,
so I was backing up. So.
Or Gandalf, because apparently he's an absolute badass. Like in that game, he's just like cutting through armies worth of.
He's literally a one-man army. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's loving it.
Sorry, I'm detracting from it. I got carried away. Go on.
No, that's right. I'll talk about Two Towers. I don't get many chances to talk about Two Towers on PS2.
It's not something that comes up often, is it?
No,
This
I didn't play
conversation.
Return of the King, but apparently that's often references.
It was good.
Being just as good.
I have the Two Towers is like the strongest memory for me.
I
Like,
definitely played that more. I remember like playing that on the PS2 in like my mate's garage at like 3 a.m.
Oh.
Like we were getting right into that. So the game's hard as well.
Yeah, it's no slouch.
It
It's
was not
really,
easy.
That and the Third Age, but I'll let you carry on with your
Okay,
section.
cool. Enough of that. Like, maybe we'll make a new Lord of the Rings segment on the podcast where we
just Lord of the
where
Rings.
we just sit and reminisce and remember
Our favourite Lord of the Rings game.
Okay, TBC on that one. My next point, nugget number 3. Basically, to sum up, everything's delayed. Nugget 3. Apparently, sadly, I was a bit heartbroken to find this out. Valve is, quotes, definitely not working on Left 4 Dead 3. Makes me sad, but it's understandable because Half-Life Alyx kind of made everybody go mental.
Yeah.
As much as I want Half-Life 3. Is Alyx going to be VR as well? Is that what they...
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
But I've got faith in Valve. They're not... they don't do things by halves. They usually go all in, and they've got quite a high benchmark of quality, for the most part, I'd say.
Whenever they release a game, it's always good.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time they released a bad game.
So apparently they quotes haven't been working on it for years. They apparently looked into it maybe 5-6 years ago, probably not too long after Left 4 Dead 2. And if I remember right, Left 4 Dead 2 came out like quite insanely quickly after Left 4 Dead 1.
Within 18 months, I think.
Which for a game of equal size, I imagine there's a lot of borrowed assets and stuff like that going on.
Yeah. I remember there being a bit of a stir at the time, actually, because you just got right into Left 4 Dead 1, and then they're like, oh, here's Left 4 Dead 2, and it looked like it could be DLC.
Yeah, that's fair
and they
enough.
were still releasing DLC for Left 4 Dead 1 while Left 4 Dead 2 was out. So.
Do you know what, right? So as an achievement hunter, I've got a tiny little story about that.
Oh yeah.
So you had the passing campaign, which was a DLC campaign,
yeah,
which was available for both games. They had the same achievements as DLC on both games, and you had to buy it on each game.
Wow.
You had to pay £5 for it twice.
That's a bit.
And I did that with my mum's debit card because I was like, I don't know, 20 then.
And you needed those sweet
I was
gamer
like,
score.
Mama, my points. And she was like,
I'm gonna have my
what?
points.
Leave me alone.
Take this and get the hell out of my sight.
Yeah, I love my mum. She's a great woman. So those are my nuggets. Basically, things are delayed. Dishonored tabletop game sounds like it's going to be pretty cool. And no new Left 4 Dead, but from what I know on PC, Left 4 Dead's pretty well supported and played even now.
Okay.
So
I've not touched it in a while, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I think if you went back on there, you'd still find a pretty solid community on it. So
Okay.
but yeah, into the main news. It's going to come up again because
There we go.
it probably seems like anyone who's listened to this for the duration of the episodes we've done that I always seem to mention Epic or Fortnite in some way, but it's because, you know, they penetrate a lot of different markets. Everyone knows who they are. It's like if you talk about that or Minecraft, even people that don't play games are going to know what you're on about.
Mm-hmm.
So, first one, I've dubbed it Ninja Skin. Not his actual skin like we talked about earlier. Yeah,
no.
But probably the most well-known streamer or popular streamer has got his own skin in Fortnite finally.
It's actually him.
Yeah, it's not like they've said, "Oh, we've made this skin for Ninja," or he's designed it. It's you look like Ninja.
Okay.
So they've added it in. I don't know. It was weird. It said it was on sale for like 3 days, and it would seem weird if they made that limited edition because you'd think they want to make as much money off that as possible, but.
That sometimes works though.
Yeah, I suppose you get all the sales you'd get in a 3-month period and a 3-day period.
Yeah, and then in 6 months' time they'll say, "Oh, the Ninja Skin's going back on sale. Get it now."
Yeah,
and so that they're crunching. They could be crunching up their sales rather than having them.
Yeah, so it might be smarter, I guess. So, but yeah, apparently there's 4 different versions of him in the game. He's got like his standard version. He's got like a mask on, and then he's got like a balaclava. And he's got like a balaclava with like demon eyes, and then he's got like a super elite one, which is like everything and plus another thing which I can't remember because I'm not looking at a photo of it. But they're
okay.
Yeah, you know that because I'm looking at you.
Yeah, we're making eye contact right now. So,
yeah, so
I'm not a photo of Ninja's skin, either his actual skin or the Fortnite.
Yeah,
skin,
that's
so.
you know, Matt. If Matt is anything, if not a liar. So
yeah, there we go.
So yeah, that happened. Apparently, he's going to be part of the Icon series, which is they're like immortalizing the top streamers. I don't know a lot of the top Fortnite streamers. I assume they're all really annoying. But yeah, and possibly some celebrities as well. I know celebrities with the Fortnite, is it the World Cup or the tournaments they've had? Celebrities have kind of dabbled with it. Like Drake did a stream, didn't he, with Ninja?
Did he? Drake did a stream with Ninja? That must have been awkward.
Like he was like at his house.
Oh, God.
So yeah, it was
I'm
a little bit.
look that up because that must be a cringe fest.
Yeah. And then the DJ guy Marshmallow, he partnered with him, didn't he? He won the World Cup, so he'll probably be in it almost definitely because he literally is kind of a Fortnite character. If he's not already, if he is, correct me. But I'd imagine that he'll be going in it because he's like his look is the exact kind of thing that I expect to see in Fortnite.
Yeah, for sure.
So on the details of the outfit, he has an edge bling backpack, which sounds exactly something which I think Ninja would own.
Yep.
He has his own emote, and he has dual katanas, which is like his version of the pickaxe that you get in Fortnite to break stuff down.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I think the cost either was, is, or will be 1,500 V-Bucks. I don't know how that relates to real money.
No.
Probably.
It sounds expensive, but I have no idea.
It's like, I don't know. It can't be more than a
I wonder
$5.
if there's a Google like cash converter V-Bucks to pounds.
So it's probably more.
This. You keep talking. I'm going to do this.
What I was saying about I converted, I had to look up. So I went to Budapest for my birthday.
It's a tenner.
That's a lot of money.
1,000
Jesus,
V-Bucks
now I'm angry.
Yeah, 1,000 V-Bucks is £7.99 apparently. So
Okay.
Roughly a tenner.
Yeah, no, they use 2 currencies in Budapest, by the way.
Oh yeah.
They have forints, where it's 10,000 forints is £2.50.
Okay.
£2.50?
Like
no,
so
no,
kind of yenny.
no, 12 quid.
Oh, okay.
12
That's
quid.
not
So it's not insane, I think. But yeah, Danielle nearly had a breakdown when she took out 60,000 forints. Didn't know how much she'd taken out. But they also take euros, so they have their own money and they also accept euros.
Okay.
So
well,
it's odd. But a complete digression about what I did for my week off. With all this happening with the skin and making new skins about streamers, celebrities and stuff, I think this is the way, I think I've mentioned this before when I talked about Snoop Dogg being an announcer.
Oh yeah.
This is the way I think devs need to go. If you're gonna make, crappy little microtransactions, have it as like that. You can get like Darth Vader or like Mr. T as like your sat nav. Just do that. Just make it like £2, and fill your marketplace with that. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I guess.
If I was a celebrity as well, I'd be like, yeah, I'll put myself in there. I'll record some voice lines. It's the same as when you get people that read audiobooks.
Yeah, you just get to hear the voice of your favorite celebrity in your favorite game, right?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure like Stephen Fry reads all the Harry Potter books.
Yeah, he does.
So,
yeah,
which is cool. I'd do that. Again, moving on from that related topic, sticking with the Fortnite. So again, Epic have blown me away in the marketing sense.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so Matt's reading this now. So they have partnered. Epic have partnered with TikTok, which, if you don't know what it is, it's quite hard to explain. It's definitely not for our demographic. It's definitely like, for the generation before and lower. Any of us, Gen Z.
After us, not before, right?
Sorry, yeah. Gen Z and lower.
It's like Vine, but unfunny and for 10-year-olds.
Yeah, it's a very odd thing, but you basically kind of film yourself, generally to music or a skit or something like that. God, I'm feeling really old explaining this because people.
I'm not chiming in on this, mate. This
okay, cool. Thanks for leaving me out to try. You're older than me, so I don't know what you're on.
I know, that's why I'm not talking about
it. Is this on the YouTube?
Can I get this on my mobile telephone?
They partnered with TikTok for a contest that they've dubbed Emote Royale. So people submit their own sort of dances and crazy crap, whatever they want to do, to be used as an in-game emote, which I think is actually really cool. It is. TikTok has an insane audience, like billions of users. You get some crazy popular people on there. It's probably one of, if not the primary social app that I would say like below 16-year-olds probably use.
Yeah.
I've got younger siblings and they all use it.
I'd say besides messenger apps, it's up there with the most access or download, for sure.
Yeah, but I think that and Instagram are probably the two chief ones that get like a younger demographic. But yeah, they've partnered with TikTok to do that. So if you use the hashtag Emote Royale Contest, film yourself, send it to them, and then they'll put you in the game, which is pretty cool. You get your emote in the game, you win 25,000 V-Bucks, which I can't remember what your calculation was.
£7.99 for 1,000.
Okay, so a decent amount.
Yeah.
And you get $400 worth of Fortnite toys and swag. It'll probably be all crap. You can sell it on eBay, but they're still giving you stuff. So, and it's cool. As much as I want to hate them, I think their marketing is genius. How many people are they going to be hitting with that? How many people are going to be exposed to Fortnite?
Yeah, they always find, they seem to be just finding new ways of reaching new people and increasing that penetration.
Because even if like 50% of all the people that do that come into the game, and the fact that it's like there's no barrier because it's a free to play game, so like it's not like they've got to then go, oh yeah, but I need to put down 20, 40, 50 quid, dollars, whatever for the game.
Yeah,
there's no barrier other than them going, okay, I'll just go home and download that tonight, or I'll get it on my phone. It's crazy.
They do it right there. They could see the hashtag, submit it, download it immediately, and begin playing.
Yeah, so it's bravo to them. They just keep, like you say, keep finding new ways to penetrate more audience and demographics. Yeah. So well done to them. My next big one is a little bit more serious. The NHS mental health director, Claire Murdoch, has reached out to companies, developers, and asked them to end loot boxes, and saying that they are setting kids up for addiction.
Okay.
I think this is a little bit OTT, personally. It might not mean anything come from me. She is a medical professional, so she may have a lot more information backing it. But I don't know. Like I feel like if we were 12, 13 now, in the way the gaming ecosystem is set up, I don't feel like I wouldn't get that I wasn't spending money. And I understand it's different for, it's got to do it on a case-by-case basis.
Sure, yeah.
But my cousin, who is like 7, 8, or has been using like games with in-app purchases in that time, he is aware he's spending money. Yeah. As much as they try and, I don't think it should be masked. I feel like sometimes it is, because that's why that's why you need 5,000 diamonds, and then you can get gold.
That's why it's like, even with V-Bucks, right? It's not, this is 20 quid. This is 100 million V-Bucks. So you have no idea of the relation between the V-Bucks to the pound to the value of the object that you're buying.
They're just trying to separate it as much as possible to make it feel like, I mean, even spending stuff on for me, in real life, spending stuff on card is a lot easier than having to hand over physical cash because it's just it makes it less real.
And contactless as well. I find sometimes they get a bit frivolous, and I'm just dinging away with the place.
If you get a round in and it's like 30 quid, handing over a £20 note and a £10 note is a lot more painful than just putting your card against the machine because it just doesn't feel like it. But yeah, she argues that there should be greater transparency and protection against in-game spending, which I'll support that. I think that's better. It should be made, at least maybe not to the kids, but when you click on to, I don't know, are you sure you're going to download this? It should spell out for you in clear English. Yeah. And there needs to be some kind of thing of parental block where you can do it so you can't spend as much money or you can make certain purchases in a day.
This is, I think this conversation has come up before when Microsoft points were first introduced, because they were the first people.
I thought they were geniuses, like evil geniuses for introducing that.
Yeah, they were one of the first places that did a kind of point transactional system, and they were forced to stop it after about 5 years, 6 years, because it was deemed not fair.
So because it would have been if you could buy points in 500,000, 2,000, 5,000, I think. Yeah. And that was obviously blocks. I think 5,000 was like 50 quid. But then the games they sold were like 800 and 1,200 points.
So they're always creaming an extra.
Yeah. So like if you
quid off you.
Yeah. So if you want, if I download a game if I buy 1,000 points for say 8 quid, if I want to buy a game that's 1,200 points, I have to buy another 500 for like £2.50.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what annoyed me. Even as like I was exposed to that when I was about 16.
Yeah. And I was 360.
I was like, this isn't fair. This is amazing from their side, from a money-maker point of view, but I was aware that I was having to spend money to get that.
But it's a similar kind of conversation, right? Where it isn't fair to mask the value of objects in a game. If you did away with any kind of secondary currency, then you wouldn't have the problem. Then we wouldn't be saying how much is 1,500 V-Bucks, would we?
Yeah, we're going to have to Google
say, 10 quid for that, that's not worth it,
Yeah, when you then suddenly hear the real money valuation of it, you're like, absolutely not, no way, I'm not paying that.
£10, no way.
So, but yeah, she's released a statement including the following points, to ban sales of games with loot boxes that encourage children to gamble, introduce fair and realistic spending limits to prevent people from spending thousands of, I assume, pounds in games. Make clear to users what percentage chance they have of obtaining the items they want before they purchase the box, and support parents by increasing their awareness on the risks of in-game spending. To be fair, all that I think is fair and good stuff. Yeah, I can't see a problem with that personally. I'm almost annoyed if that's not happening already, because I feel like that should be pretty standard. But yeah, I guess the problem is there's no regulatory body to police that, right? Because it has to be like when this decisions have come up in other countries, it's been like their parliament that has sorted out.
Yeah, so, their gambling commission and stuff will step in and say that monetary gambling is policed in every country, and if what you're doing in gaming crosses over into direct,
that generally seems to be the argument that comes up is, does this breach into our territory so we can make a ruling on it?
I disagree with loot boxes as a mechanic. Paid loot boxes in any game, it doesn't matter what they are. I disagree with them as any kind of mechanic. I think randomness in games is incredibly important, but it doesn't need to be front loaded monetarily.
For me, it takes away, or the developer is like kind of washing their hands of any responsibility to owe you anything, and that frustrates me. It's like, well, you're gambling here with your money, and you can get a chance at this. You can pay more if you want a higher chance, but we don't guarantee you anything.
It's completely divorced from the game that it's in. It's nothing to do with the game that you're playing. It's just a way to get money out of the players. That's all it is. It doesn't have a place in gaming, in my opinion. My lofty opinion.
I did have a big old quote from a woman named Dr. Henrietta Bowden-Jones.
That's a very English name.
Do you know what? I will read it out for the sake of being as official as I can.
Go
on. As the director of the National Centre for Gaming Disorders, the first NHS clinic to treat gaming addiction, I am fully in favour of taking a public health approach and bringing it bringing in, a regulatory body to oversee the gaming industry. Gaming industry products currently causing great concerns to parents and professionals. Loot boxes are only one of several features that will need to be investigated and indeed researched. We need an evidence-based approach to ensure our young people and gamers in general do not continue to be subjected to new and increasingly harmful products without our intervention. Sorry, the way that was written was like, it's in italics and then highlighted, so it's quite hard to read and I'm far away. So,
and I was moving it for that last sentence.
Yeah, so. But to be fair, that's pretty much the points, what we just said, right?
Yeah.
That seems like quite a logical thing there needs to be a body, we need to look at it, and we need to base it on evidence, not just conjecture or opinion.
Yeah.
So those are my news. I hope you're all newsed up,
Yeah,
or newsed out, or newsed.
As I always say, I am enlightened.
So that was the news. We now have the question. Matt, what was our question from last episode?
The question from last episode was, what does the future of gaming hold? And by future, we mean the next decade.
Yeah. So, I believe that VR will be a feature. I don't know if it'll be completely ironed out. I feel like people are kind of getting a bit ahead of themselves at the moment, trying to implement it a bit too early.
Mm-hmm.
In my humble opinion, there's only one really good VR game, and that's Beat Saber.
Okay.
There may be a few hidden gems out there. If you know them, feel free to comment in the.
Oh yeah, this might be on YouTube. So yeah. Oh, will be. Yeah.
Audience engagement.
Comment below
with your favorite cheese.
Yeah, do that too.
But yeah, VR I think will be a feature, but I've put the application is crucial. So how they actually implement it, I don't think you should base a game around it. You should look to see how you can incorporate it into games rather than it being the main focus, personally.
Okay.
Or how it can enhance it rather than just be, let's just make this a VR game just because. Games as a service, which I think is more or less how the bigger publishers are framing their games up anyway.
Okay, yeah.
But I think that we'll see more prominence or a definite rise of that. That's definitely the most lucrative model money-wise, I'd say, to how you make your games. But I think we'll see more of that. I actually think AR, augmented reality, is a much more cooler tool because it's less intrusive and is more applicable to other games. I think if arcade used AR, it would be a lot cooler. I'd go to more arcades. I love arcades. I think you do as well.
Yes.
You sure?
I did love arcades.
Okay, fair. But yeah, I think AR is personally for me better than VR. It's not as insane. You can do more things with it, I believe.
It's less onboarding, right?
Yeah, and it's like you don't have to put on a headset and kind of be. I feel like even though you're with a lot of people, you can like everyone's isolated because they have to experience it themselves, and then other people are around. But that's just my opinion. I think loot boxes and microtransactions are on a bit of a knife edge. Mm-hmm. You know, we've seen some backlash with like Battlefront 2 and a few other examples. Like people have clearly voiced their opinions about it.
Yep.
And I think it could go either way. If someone's going to push it too far, and then there's going to be a big kind of related to what we said in the last news bit. There could be some. I don't want to say real world because that makes it sound like gaming's not a thing, but more global interest or regulation on video games in some way.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll be like illegal or outlawed, but I reckon there's going to be a crackdown on it in some way, and because someone's going to take it too far. And my last one, I think that indie developers are going to be primarily driving single player experiences, and I think AAA are going to focus more on multiplayer. That's not to say it's going to be completely exclusive, because look at games like God of War, look at Spider-Man.
Had a little bit of a resurgence of late.
Yeah, that's primarily that focus. But I think making, aside from exceptions, things like Rocket League, which I know has a really small dev team.
Yeah, it's only 6 guys, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for other stuff, they get consultants or get contractors to do stuff.
Okay, that's a smart model.
Yeah. I think that's the way it would be framed. If you don't run a multiplayer game, I think is with servers and crashes and having a constant team of people to monitor that and look after
upkeep.
it.
Yeah, it's a lot of upkeep.
Yeah, I think to do that for a small team of devs is quite hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I think indies will run single player or push primarily single player experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and AAA will focus on multiplayer.
Okay.
That is what I believe the future
So
holds.
I don't want to interject, but some of our points were my points are similar to yours.
Okay,
We have
that's fine.
similar thoughts, but
We are
different.
similar men.
Different. Well, yeah, we are, I guess. Yeah, both in Bristol, all that. I think VR is in the wrong space for gaming. I don't think it's a gaming tool primarily. I think it'll probably see most used in like cinema and television. I think that's where
I think it fits experience more than gameplay.
Yeah.
You are like viewing something rather than doing something, I think, anyway. But
I feel the same. You mentioned Beat Saber. That and Boneworks are the only two games I've thought, man, I'd like to play that with a VR headset. Everything else is tacked on, shoehorned, and I just don't think that VR adds anything to the experience of gaming that means it's a necessity. I don't see it going anywhere. I think it might lead to a development, but VR will not be the primary thing in gaming within 10 years, in my opinion. I think that controllerless gaming is going to become a thing for casual games. That's based on the Leap Motion, which is a hand tracking device that uses infrared light and nothing else. It's a small bar, maybe like an inch long. You just put it in front of stuff, put your hand over it, and it finds your hand, and that's it. I mentioned casual gaming there because I think that the controller is probably the most optimal kind of input you can have for a human to play games at like a high level. In my opinion, the controller is like the pinnacle of design.
You're going to be pissing off a lot of people that use mouse and keyboard now. But
that's true. I mean, the mouse and keyboard, and there's fight sticks as well. There's people who love fight sticks competitively. I just think you can't. Like, I've got an Xbox 360 controller here in my hand.
That is the best controller of all time.
Show me a better way. I do for third-person action games, for Blasphemous and for Hades. I'm using this.
Yeah.
If I'm playing Overwatch, sure, I jump on the mouse and keyboard, but that's just because you got
mouse aiming.
Aim, right? But I seriously think that for probably 60% of gaming experiences, I'll tend to a controller. I think controllers are great, but in saying that, I think that for super casuals, controllerless gaming is going to come in. You're just going to have something that reads your hands, and you can do all the swiping Wii style stuff, Fruit Ninja touchscreen style gameplay without that black boxing you get from a controller or a mouse and keyboard.
That's fair. That's an interesting rumination. I
also think that large companies like Tencent, Epic, maybe, as just using them as an example, are going to move to mobile and nothing more. I think Konami have tried it and failed. Like, they took Silent Hill onto mobile, which is insane. They made it a mobile rail shooter.
That's not what Silent Hill is. If you're going to take an IP you have to appropriate it for a platform.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, especially mobile, like touch. It's going to have to be a touch-controlled thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to put Time Crisis on there, that might work because it's a light gun game.
Yeah.
Putting an eerie thriller third-person horror game on there is just not going to work. It's not the environment to play it on. It's not the medium to experience it.
Yeah.
And then going, okay, well, we'll just appropriate this and make it into a shooting game. It's not what it is.
I think because mobile makes so much money, and as we go forwards, mobile phones are just going to get more powerful, bigger screens, more accessibility options. It's just going to get more and more. The market's just going to expand, and big companies are going to see that, and they're going to focus their efforts there. I think first-party games are still going to remain core consoles.
Yeah.
Core consoles and PC. But I think it's only going to be first parties and indies that keep gaming as we know it. Me and you, when I say we, like growing up when we
proper
did.
gamers, I'd say.
Keep that kind of gaming alive. And I'm also predicting, I'm going to give a big prediction here. I predict another crash of sorts.
You reckon?
I think we're
like
getting
1983, 83?
ET.
Whatever the first crash was. Yeah.
ET, the 1980s crash.
What's going to tip it over? What's going to be the thing?
Well,
what's going to be that straw on that camel's back?
Think of the mobile market now. Think of how many games there are and how many apps there are. It's just
Apple Store isn't regulated, is it? I don't think.
No.
We could put up a game today that doesn't work.
It's massively oversaturated. Then you've got alongside that you have the microtransaction stuff we've already touched upon. I think that is pushing gaming into like a dangerous space where it wants to be regulated more. People are more mistrustful of games than they ever have been. I think now that they're almost perceived as predatory in a lot of lights. Certain games are seen as being exploitative.
Sure, I bet some people probably see that loot box stuff as along the same kind of lines as like online bingo sites, and maybe even in extreme cases, like almost like payday loan companies.
It's not good.
Like,
it's a bad look for gaming.
Yeah,
certainly. There's that. Then you've got the Steam store, which is awash at the minute with asset flips and hentai games. There's just so much crud on there. And I looked up a stat on early access. According to PC Gamer, only 25% of early access games on the Steam marketplace make it to full release. And people are buying those, putting money into it. It's already kind of a meme that if you see a game that's early access and touted as being a third-person Soulsborne, it's just a waste of money because it's never going to get released.
Yeah.
Think like DayZ, stuff like that. All this stuff goes into early access or crowdfunding games as well. I think there's so many people that want to make a game that can't, and there's so many people who are exploiting that mindset as well for monetary gain that we're getting to this. I feel like there's like a crux. There's going to be like a critical mass of mistrust in games and gaming, and it's going to
boil
collapse.
over.
It's going to boil over. It's going to collapse. Something is going to happen. I'm not saying that the gaming industry is going to become not profitable, but we've seen a microcosm of it with Blizzard, Bethesda. They've come crashing down recently.
no matter how big you are, nothing is like, no one's safe.
No, not if you keep making ridiculous decisions, and that can be said for maybe an entire industry. If these poor decisions keep being made, and people keep making games that are exploitative and driven by the want for money, then you're going to ruin the market. And I honestly think that's going to happen in the next 10 years.
Well, I hope it doesn't, but I fear that you may be right on some scale. Yeah.
I think something's going to happen. Or we'll see some kind of inversion where the big boys at the top now are going to fall from grace, and we get like a reset, and all the mid-level developers that we've got that are making some of the titles like Hades and stuff like that, they'll rise, and we'll have maybe like a gaming renaissance where we get true.
I'd be right with that.
Games.
A
for
gaming
gamers.
Ragnarok.
With the complete destruction of the gaming world.
I'd be right with that.
That's my 2 pence on the next 10 years.
Oh, that was really good.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll comment on that. If I was listening to this on YouTube
right now,
if I was listening to this on YouTube, I'd comment on it right now. So why don't you?
Well, you can do that. I saw you subscribe to it.
I did. Yeah, we're the main subscribers.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, we have to be really, don't we?
There's not really much.
It's like these guys aren't really putting in enough to sub to it, but
just like, do you want the next question? Next question for next time.
We could do that. So the question for the next episode is, Matt, fill us in.
What is the best way for a game to implement a tutorial?
Do you think we need clarification on that? No.
I think that's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Self-contained. Okay.
Well, we could say, what do we consider a tutorial?
How a game explains controls or the mechanics of a game. How it conveys that to the player.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's a bit of clarification.
So that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening, as always.
Yeah, thank you for choosing to spend your time here with us. And keep an eye out for Vox Ludio on YouTube, which is up but not active.
It's there. It's there. It exists.
Yeah, two episodes. We've got the last episode and this episode that will be ready to go up on there. Get to see our nice card and directly interact with us.
Yeah.
In the comments.
Comment, like, do what you want. If you like it, like it.
Yeah.
If you want to sub, that's great. If not, we don't hold it against you. Well, I won't. Matt might, but
we'll get better at this part.
Yeah,
I feel like
we're getting better. I'd say we're getting better every week. If people are sticking with it,
that's a positive thing.
All my friends are, because I make them listen to it.
Strap them down, give them no choice. Yeah. Is that the outro?
We don't need to beg anymore, do we? For people, we don't have to be like, keep an eye out for YouTube, because it happens. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, right.
What a terribly unprofessional outro, but I think we should do it that way.
Yeah. That's done. It's in there. Right.
Bye.
Bye.